Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to another edition of the podcast. Hope you're having a good one for sure. We got some great information. We're going to talk veteran truckers for you today. Before we do that, though, let me tell you a little bit about a place where they are looking for owner-operators, and that's over at Bison Transport. You know, they're offering a $3,000 sign-on bonus for teams and a $1,500 sign-on bonus until the end of March for singles. And even if you're not an owner-operator, because, hey, they know they need you as well, they're having a $750 sign-on bonus for cross-border drivers until the end of March. So if you're a driver or an owner-operator and you want to work for a great company, then Bison Transport's where you should look for. For their owner-operators, I mean, you can save money on fuel, you can save money on parts. They have a support team for you. You get paid on every week, which is really important. And they are really looking for teams and singles and company drivers as well. If you've heard any of the interviews we had recently with their team, you'll know the benefits of being with Bison. So check out bisondriving.com for all the information. They are looking for you right now. All right, so today we're going to be talking with OJ Sidor. Now, OJ is a veteran driver. He's been around for a long, long time. As he says, he was born in the seat. And we're going to find out exactly what life was like behind the wheel, how he got into the industry. This is a real old school to old school thing. He's now a recruiter. He's also a podcast host, and we're going to be finding out all about that over the next couple episodes. So make sure you stay with us and enjoy some of this great interview with OJ Sidor, because I know you're going to love it. All right, let's get on with the interview.
By far my favorite station.
You're the best. Oh, yeah.
I love you guys.
All right, everybody on the line, I've got OJ Sidor from Scotland. How are we doing today, OJ?
Hey, Bruce, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, buddy. I have been enjoying your podcast. I must say, you've got the Talking Truck podcast, and we're going to get into that. But before we do, I want to get into you. I want to find out, it sounds like you've been trucking. We probably are the same age. We probably started trucking at the same time. Tell us how you got into the industry and how long you were driving and all that kind of stuff first.
So I am second generation. My father drove, and I spent a lot of time in that truck with my dad. And by the time I was 15 years old, I would stand at the 401 in Simcoe Street in Oshawa. I'd ride my bicycle down, and I'd stand on top of the overpass, and I'd watch the big trucks go by. And I know it sounds hokey and everything, but I'd literally get tears in my eyes. I couldn't wait. So those trips with my father, man, Bruce, there's some fun stories that we had with my dad. I'll give you one here. He hauled cars for General Motors out of Oshawa. So he'd pick me up at the yard, and I'd sit on a milk crate on the passenger area. Right? There wasn't passenger seats back then.
Oh, no, there wasn't.
We'd drive to Windsor, and Dad would have me climb up into the top car, and I'd hide myself in that top car. He'd sneak me into the U.S. I'd climb back down on 4th Street in Detroit. I know, right? Can you imagine doing this today? We'd go deliver the cars in Detroit, Michigan, and then he'd sneak me back into Canada. And it was some great times. But by 15, Bruce, I could drive. And then I wrote my test and did my road test at 10 a.m. on my 18th birthday. And I left that afternoon for Montreal, Quebec. And this is before GPS and all that. It was simple. My dad pointed towards the east and said, "Montreal's that way, kid. You'll find it." And Bruce, my legs, the entire time to Montreal, my legs were bouncing. I was so scared. And all I could think of, I hope I can back up when I get there. And then I backed up for 38 more years. Yeah.
Was your first trip in with cars? Was that your first trip with your dad?
No, it was with General Freight.
Okay.
in a day cab running to, so that was 1988,
Yep.
and that was running to Montreal, and yeah, and it all started from there, and here we go 38 years later.
I think that's the way we have to do it nowadays. I mean, I stepped into it too. My parents were accountants. They were from Guyana. They came over. They knew nothing about trucking, trust me. But my dad said, "You're going to get a job." I left school, so at 17, I fell into the moving part as a helper. And 18, I got my straight truck license, and then it went up from there. And I did the same thing. You know, you start with Toronto, Montreal, or Toronto, Ottawa, or something like that, and you build your routes and get up there. And we don't do that anymore. We just throw them into the deep end without a fryer, right? Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. There was a chain back then that you started off, and you started here, and you grew to the next step and the next step and the next step.
Yeah.
And it was a progression, and I think it was good because, hey, if I had bought a truck that first week, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't really know what I was doing.
Oh.
I was winging it. Now, I did have the advantage too, Bruce, of being second generation, and from 14, 15, down in the swampland roads of South Oshawa, my dad would take me down in the truck, and I was shifting the gears. So I certainly had an advantage that way, that I knew what I was doing to a certain extent. But going out on your own, of course, is a whole different ballgame, right? It's a lot harder to back up when your daddy's not there.
Well, I gotta tell you, my very first experience in a truck, I was being a helper for a guy who had a day cab Kenworth, and he was one of our owner operators for us, and he was going to Ottawa. He needed a second guy to help him deliver the load once we got to the move, and I got in the truck. I think it was like a Saturday morning or something. I got in the truck. We're going on, and he said, "Did you bring your sunglasses?" And I'm like 17 years old, and I go, "No." Back then, kids didn't wear sunglasses the way they do today, so I don't think I even had a pair of sunglasses.
Right.
And I said, "No." He says, "Oh, okay, you'll be sleeping in about 2 minutes." And we got over that hill, almost where you were standing on the bridge. When you go over that hill in Coburg, and you look like you're driving into the sun. I think I was sleeping by that point, and I don't remember half the trip. And I remember, that's how fast. That's my favorite part of the 401. If you're in the morning time when you're going over, and the sun is so big, it looks like you're driving right into it, for sure. What is your daily job today? You're with Scott Lynn. What is it you do? Is podcasting your job? I don't know if that's what you're doing right now.
Podcasting is my hobby. It's funny. So, in the 90s, I did a lot of auto freight out of the Oshawa area. And then I was working directly with General Motors, and I thought, Bruce, I was going to retire from there. And then 2008 hit, and we know what happened in Oshawa GM, and I was out of work.
Yeah.
Never thought I would be there. And I found Scott Lynn, and I joined Scott Lynn. I started off as an owner operator, and then I spent a lot of time running California for Scott Lynn. And I guess we go 15 years with them, and really love the company, love driving for them. Very good to me and my family. And then a little bit ago, it was time for OJ to hang up the keys and move into an office position. So now I am a recruiter and / driver manager with Scott Lynn. And Scott Lynn is very good at taking the old boys and moving them into these positions. I feel that I have a lot to offer in the recruiting because I've been there, Bruce. So when a guy calls and talks about, being in a snowstorm in Wawa, I've actually lived it. I know what he's dealing with. So I can also share my 38 years of driving experience and, quite frankly, all my years of the Scott Lynn system and how we work and what does work and what doesn't work. So that's what I've been doing. That's my full-time job. And the Talking Truck podcast, that's just something I'm really doing on my own, and I'm really enjoying it. We're only a month in. We started it in January of 26. So no, that's not my full-time gig, but I love doing it. It's a lot of fun, just trying to get out there, talking to some different people, kind of like what you're doing, Bruce.
Yeah.
And but no, my full-time real quote-unquote job is definitely the recruiting with Scott Lynn.
Oh, that's cool. So what are you seeing coming into the industry? I mean, whether you believe there's a driver shortage or not, your guys' program is fairly unique. And I've done training in the past. I work with a lot of new drivers, and produce is not for everybody. I'm the first one to admit that, because I worked for a company We did the odd load of produce, and if I could tell you produce horror stories all day, I won't. I'm sure you've got your own. But,
Oh yeah.
it's not the kind of industry. It's not like general freight or something where there's a lot of particulars, time management, and the freight and temperature control and all that kind of stuff goes into it. So, is that still something that's viable for new people? I mean, it's good as far as work always being there, but it's really hard to get people to understand that kind of system. What's your thoughts on that from a recruiter standpoint?
You're absolutely right as far as steady work goes. Right now, the industry is, kind of up and down. We're dealing with a lot of issues in the industry, especially if you're hauling steel and cars and that. With the food and the produce, you're absolutely right, Bruce. You might not have bought a new car this week, but I know you went to the grocery store. So that does keep us going. You're absolutely right. Produce is not for everybody. It is a different animal inside of the trucking industry. Everything is timed. When the product is picked in California, really when it's picked off the tree or out of the ground, there's a time limit to get it into the GTA. Then there's a time limit to get it into the DC and then out to the stores for public consumption. It's a lot to deal with. As far as drivers coming in doing it, yes, absolutely. You're looking for I would say a driver that is more detail orientated would fit in because yes, you're absolutely right. You have to watch that reefer temperature. You have to load it properly. You have to allow for spacing so that the product can breathe while it's being transported. So absolutely, there is a different level. And sometimes I know the guys will feel, hey, we got to get it there, but we really do, because if you're hauling widgets, it really doesn't matter when it gets there. With produce, everything is timed. As far as training the guys, absolutely. If a fella is open to it, he can absolutely be trained for reefer. Obviously, we love guys that have reefer experience, but if you don't, it's something we can certainly work on and train the right individual.
It always used to be one of the better paying parts of the industry. Is it still that way? Is it still,
I would say yes, absolutely.
Produce was always up there as far as if you want to make money. I think it's because of the miles, but it's the miles, right? Like people, I'm sure you have local drivers and stuff, but people get into produce and go, okay, I want to be off on weekends. And I go, well, no, because you leave Thursday for California. You're not getting a weekend ever. I don't know if it's changed, but I never ran that far west. I was more hazmat, and I kind of stayed, east of Nebraska, but so I didn't do a lot of that California stuff. But a lot of people are. Is it still the way the industry is? Because I'm thinking you guys got terminals in Florida and California, and so someone should be expecting to run those lanes if they're getting into this business, right?
I will say 10 years steady running Toronto, California, and you're absolutely right, Bruce. You leave on a Thursday night, Friday morning. I want to tell you, now running California again inside of the produce lanes is a different animal. That's a lifestyle. That's not a job.
Right.
And you have to have a great support system at home to make it work. And you do sacrifice. Absolutely. I want to say the last year was probably home 2 weekends out of the year because the California stuff is leaving on the Thursday, Friday, get out there, deliver Monday, start reloading. Now, Scotland has expanded incredibly in the last 18 months into the local delivery. That stuff ran it from DC's from Cambridge out to Cornwall and even into Boucherville, Quebec now, where we're doing store deliveries and transfers between the city. Now that is a different set of lanes that we offer, and those boys are home every day. So you can start 6 a.m. You're going to be home 6 p.m. So it is a home every night thing. Our highway division, absolutely. And yeah, Bruce, it's funny, how things just get set. California is still, you're leaving Thursday, guy. That's how it goes.
I remember being on a road trip with my wife, and she never got in the truck till she met me. We've been married 25 years, and we're on a road trip, and she says, I think I would like to do this. And I said, well, when your team, it's not office. She'd only worked in office. I said, we're not having weekends off. We are trucking. And she said she wanted to bring the cats. That wasn't happening. I'm very particular about my truck. I used to run for carriers out this way in Burlington here. You'd probably know them, the Sevrettes of the day. So I always drove a lot of those nice trucks that I know that Scott Lynn has. So I'm very particular about my truck. No, you cannot bring the cats or whatever.
You'd be a perfect fit at Scott Lynn. Send me your information. I'll hire you.
I know I would, because I want a Peterbilt Hurricane. cannot drive. And that's why I'm not driving anymore. Nobody will give me a nice truck just to drive around for a week or so. But
And that I can't give you, Bruce. No.
I know. So now that with the climate of the people that are coming and looking for work nowadays, how are you figuring out who's a good fit? Because the farm boys and the people who are used to running, and I know you've had some good conversations about the way we used to run, which is not the way we run anymore, apparently. Who's a good fit? Like, if someone's listening to this and going, I'd like to get on with that, how and what's the experience level? Were you starting at least 3 years, I would think, or 5?
At least 1 year for our highway and local delivery. We also have an LCV division. Now that would be 5 years experience for the LCV. What are we looking for? We're looking for professionalism. Obviously, we're looking for a little bit of experience. We're looking for clean abstracts, clean CVORs. Professionalism in this industry is what we're looking for. And unfortunately, I'm seeing the professionalism level drop. I hope things turn around. We have to remember this is a very, very unique industry, and we need to keep that professionalism up. That is the biggest thing. So we're looking for guys that are willing to learn, and we're looking for guys, honestly, Bruce, that are willing to work, because produce is, as you said, 24/7. It really is. Weekends don't mean a lot here. People still need to be fed, and grocery stores still need to be fed filled on Saturdays and Sundays. So we're looking for someone who's coming in to do a hard day of work, and of course be compensated for it as well. As you said, produce is still, in my opinion, the highest paying end of the industry. So if you're coming looking to work hard, you can absolutely be compensated very well for your efforts.
Do you move them up? Like, do you start them out maybe in some of those daily runs or the local runs, and then see if they've got it before you move them, or they just come into California right away, right off the bat?
You know, one of my biggest important parts of my job is finding the right fit for Scott Lynn, and then the right fit for the driver. So a driver comes in, maybe he fits the hiring criteria for Scott Lynn, but now it's my job to find him the right lane that's going to work. Is it Quebec, Ontario? Is it local out of Newmarket? Is it out of Ajax? Is it running, East Coast down to the ports and picking up the product out of there? Is it run in Florida and California? And really, Bruce, it depends on the individual. And through those discussions, through the hiring process, we have those and we find the best fit, and then we put them into that slot, and then we take it from there.
What's your makeup as far as owner operators versus company? Are you split 50-50? Because I know you have a lot of owner operator stuff on your fleet there.
Absolutely. I'd say it's about a 90-10. We're definitely more of the owner-operator company.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, that's something for people to think about.
Absolutely.
What a great interview with OJ for sure. Hey, before we close out, let me tell you about a place that can help you. If you're a truck driver and owner-operator with your taxes, RS2000 Tax Services is where you need to go. We use them ourselves, so we know they're good. They specialize in the trucking and farming industries, and at this time of year, you certainly want to get them to help you keep some money in your own pocket. So if you're a truck driver or a farmer or somebody who just works with the transportation industry and wants people who understand what's going on, rs2000tax.com is where you should go. Tell them we sent you. We know they'll take good care of you. Hey, that was a great interview with OJ. Make sure you join us. We're going to talk about how he transitioned out of the seat. That can be a really hard part for a lot of drivers. There's a reason a lot of them at 80 and 90 are still in the seat. Some of them want to get out. They don't know what to do. They've been running 60, 70 hours their whole life. So where do you go from there? So OJ and I are going to talk about how he transitioned to what he's doing now in recruiting, and also why he started the Talking Truck podcast and became a podcast host in 2026. Hey, we all need to know about that. Anyway, make sure you subscribe so you can check out the next episode, and we will talk to you later, my friends. Be good out there.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com, and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.